Hello, thank you so much for joining me. Great to have your company today. And I'm joined by the lovely singer and TV presenter, Cheryl Baker. It's really lovely to have you here. First time on the pink sofa.
Yes, I love the pink sofa.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome. Also back by popular demand, broadcaster Sarah Jane Crawford. Great to see you, Sarah Jane.
Lovely to see you.
And lawyer Nick Freeman. I mean, we say no, we don't want him, but he insists on coming, and here he is. He's back. He thinks he's carved out his own seat on that sofa. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Should alcohol carry cigarette-style cancer warnings? Public health experts think so. They say if they do, it will help save lives. But would it make you put down your glass of wine, your Aperol Spritz, your vodka and tonic? I'd love to hear what you think about that. When you heard Matt Allwright say it wouldn't make any difference to him, he'd carry on boozing and give you a toast and keep on drinking. But then, is it wrong to put your pet down yourself? I ask because independent MP Rupert Lowe has provoked pretty huge backlash, really, after he shared the information that he'd had his 17-year-old family dog shot by his gamekeeper after he became unwell. Rupert says it was much kinder than taking his dog to the vet to be put down, which would have frightened his dog. But I wonder what you think about that one. And now I want you to try something. Put your phone down and don't pick it up again until the show is over. That is, of course, unless you're phoning to speak to me, in which case do not do that at all. But do you think you could manage that, the duration of a whole programme, without once picking up your phone and checking it? I'm asking because a study's found that school and university students will spend a total of 25 years of their lives, quarter of their lives maybe, on their phones if they don't change their habits right now. But how hard would it be? Do you think you could live without your phone? And after Justin Bieber's wife Hailey was spotted out and about without her wedding ring on, I'm asking, is it all right not to wear your wedding ring? King Charles doesn't wear one, but maybe never wearing one isn't the same as taking it off. Do let me know what you think. You can give us a call on 0207 862 2222. That's 0207 862 2222. Calls from landlines may cost up to 16p a minute, plus any call setup fees, and calls from mobiles may cost considerably more. To send us a message, head to Facebook, X or Instagram, search for Vanessa Feltz. You can email me on vanessa@channel5.com, and you can WhatsApp us too on 07706 152 454. Well, let's just start by saying, Cheryl, welcome. What are you up to? You're still making your mind up after all these years.
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. So bad.
Can't help it. I can't help it. And we're not going to whip your skirt off and show you.
I still do it.
You still do it? Wow.
I still do it. I'm 71 and I still whip the skirt off. I still gig. I'm still gigging with Fizz. We've got a lovely gig coming up in a couple of weeks called Britfest, where all the British artists are performing up in Altrincham, and so on and so forth. We gig all the year round, so I love it.
And you still love it? And you still...
Why wouldn't I love it? I go on stage and people cheer. It's fantastic.
Of course it is, and everyone loves that song. Come on. We love it. We still love it.
Well, it's not my favourite, I'll be honest with you.
It's not your favourite?
No.
Really?
But it changed my life, so I have to love it, really, don't I? I mean, I'm obliged to.
It definitely is one of it. If they ever asked me on Desert Island Discs, I'd be hard-pushed not to choose that one. I really mean it. I was at my peak in those days. I was in my prime.
Most people's favourite Bucks Fizz song was Land of Make Believe.
I like The Camera Never Lies.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good one.
Love that one.
Yeah.
Love them all. I love them all. I'm a fan, as you can see, an absolute die-hard fan.
Excellent.
It's lovely to have you here. Let's get straight into our first topic now. And my gosh, you saw my colleague and friend Matt Allwright when he was faced with this. I said, this is what we're going to be talking about on the show. And he's like, well, I'm not taking a blind bit of notice of it. So the first topic is this. Should alcoholic drinks carry cigarette-style warning labels? And you know they're very graphic, those cigarette labels. They show really sort of congested lungs and babies in the womb, and they're really quite horribly frightening and designed to put you right off smoking. So I'd love to hear from you on this one, 0207 862 2222. A campaign's calling for the government to do much more to cut the deaths that are caused by drinking. And the World Cancer Research Fund says bold and unambiguous health warnings and calorie information too should be put on alcoholic drinks. They say 1 in 25 cancer cases in the UK are caused by drinking, and that booze is linked to 7 different types of cancer, including liver, breast and bowel. But I wonder what you think about this. We're going to be hearing from a doctor in a minute, but why don't we start with you on this, Cheryl? Do you think it would put you off drinking if you had one of those horribly frightening labels on the bottle? I
think it would, and I think it's a good thing. Bit controversial, I know, but I drink practically every single night. Right. Sometimes, like last night, I had one gin and tonic. But over the weekend, we were celebrating my twins' birthday. I drank far too much. And I think, especially calorie, because I'm always fighting to lose weight. If it showed calorie content and it showed, you know, what could happen to you if you drink too much, I think it would put me off. So I think it's a good thing.
Yes, another merry toast, another jolly tipple, and you suddenly look at the bottle and think, oh, God, I don't fancy that very
No,
much.
exactly.
And I do think that in our lifetime, there has been a link between cancer and alcohol that's been clearly stressed, because I don't think so. Do you think so?
Definitely liver. I mean,
Liver, but,
yeah.
but the others, did you
No,
realise?
wouldn't have had a clue. Not
No.
breast cancer or anything. No, I wouldn't have thought so.
But I know Sarah Jane is highly clued up about health and wellness and all those sorts of things. So I'm sure it isn't news to you that there's a link.
There is definitely a link. I think, you know, as you know, Vanessa, I'm a sober girl. It's going to be 8 years next month since I stopped drinking.
Great.
And I, like you, Cheryl, would drink every single night. You know, there'd always be a reason for me to want to have a drink. But I think it's one of the final kind of legal drugs that has this subtle, insidious quality to it where it just kind of sneakily is unhealthy. And apparently now research shows there's no healthy amount that you can drink. Like, even one drink is unhealthy. So for that reason, absolutely, it should carry a health warning.
Right, what do you think?
I think it should carry a calorie warning, because I think the obesity is a huge problem, and that in itself leads to health problems. When you compare it with nicotine, you know, you have a pull of some nicotine, there's no benefit in that. I understood that actually a Mediterranean diet, a glass of red wine actually with full of antioxidants, was actually quite good for you.
Well, it's the red grape in it, but you can still get that from supplements rather than the actual alcohol within it.
Well, we have a doctor on the show, obviously, so that we're not all sounding off about something that we're not sure about. So let's get the medical opinion, and then I hope to get your calls on 0207 862 2222. So let's bring in the lovely Dr. Philippa Kay. She's an NHS GP. Is it true, Philippa, that 6 units of alcohol per year, which is about 3 glasses of wine a year, 3 glasses of wine a year, everyone listen carefully to this because you may be absolutely astounded, is really all you can drink before alcohol starts to have an impact on your health? Is that true?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, there is no safe amount of alcohol that you can drink. Now, some NHS guidance are things that we aim for. We aim for exercising 5 times a week for 30 minutes. We aim for 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. But the NHS guidance around 14 units of alcohol a week is an absolute maximum. But even within that, there is no safe amount. And you talked about the Mediterranean diet, but actually everything in medicine, I talk about this a lot, is a balance of risk versus benefit. And actually the risks of alcohol far outweigh any potential small benefit from antioxidants that you can get in lots of other ways. We think that 1 in 25 cases of cancer are directly related to alcohol. Wow. Breast, bowel, liver, mouth, esophagus, all kinds of places. And actually, it's what we call dose dependent. The more you drink, the greater your risk will be. And conversely, the less you drink, the more you reduce your risk. So even if you're somebody that says, well, I'm not going to stop altogether, reducing the amount that you drink will decrease your risk.
I mean, this is stunning news to, I think, lots and lots of people, because in this country, the great United Kingdom, drinking is absolutely endemic in culture, for celebrating, at funerals, you know, at launches, at everything. People are having a drink at lunchtime these days. On holiday, you're having more. When there's a football match, you're having more. At Wimbledon, you're having your Pims. It's as if it's almost compulsory to drink. And when they hear you say 3 glasses of wine a year, they'll be in disbelief, I think, just thinking that can't be right. Has that doctor got it wrong?
So I think that that's part of the problem. And actually, research from the World Cancer Research Fund showed that less than 1 in 14 Brits were even aware that alcohol increased your risk of cancer at all. And it seems odd to me that there is more nutritional information on milk, for example, on a bottle of milk than there is on a bottle of wine. Everybody gets to make their own choices. Of course they do, but those choices need to be informed. And the way to be informed is to have things like labelling on the bottles. For example, if every woman in the UK drank less alcohol, we think that 4 million women, fewer women, would have breast cancer.
Wow.
And when you put numbers like that into that information, actually, lots of women will go, oh, that's something that I would like to consider and I would like to think about.
Well, let me ask you something else, though. We know that there are great health benefits to being jolly, sociable, happy, you know, that feel-good factor when you're mixing with friends and you're celebrating and you're jolly. That's good for your health, isn't it? Particularly good for your mental health, but I think also good for your physical health. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. Does alcohol bring benefits in that way? It makes you feel part of a group, it makes you sociable, it makes you happy, that kind of thing.
No. And you and I have had this conversation before that both of us, I think, would prefer a chocolate mousse over a glass of red wine. But, you know, that's our personal preference. For some people, it is disinhibiting, right? And that allows them to come out of their shell. But actually, that also increases the risk of violence, and it increases disinhibition, leading to other kinds of acts that potentially you wouldn't want to do. It doesn't improve your sleep. It might help you get off to sleep, but the quality of your sleep is then far, far worse. Unfortunately, there aren't health benefits. And maybe it's that we need to, as a society, learn to find a way of socializing and enjoying ourselves without the alcohol, because the bit which is good for our health is the social connection. It is the dancing that is good for your physical health. It is the connection as opposed to the glass of alcohol that's in your hand.
Question from Nick Freeman here.
Would you replace it then with alcohol-free wine, alcohol-free gin and tonic? Is that what you're suggesting? Are you saying that actually that's not a good idea either, because there are other ingredients in the non-alcohol drinks that actually would cause you harmful effects as well?
I think that when it comes to non-alcoholic beverages, and by that I mean the non-alcoholic wine, stouts, beers, you need to look at the sugar content, because often they will be very high in sugar. But there are lots of other ways of having fun. And, you know, I'm not saying that you must never, ever have a drink. I'm saying that you make your choices, but those choices need to be informed choices. And actually, tomorrow, the World Cancer Research Fund are presenting a petition at number 10 to Keir Starmer around having a national alcohol strategy in this company. And if people want to get involved, they can look at the World Cancer Research Fund's website, simply because so many of us are not aware of all the risks that alcohol has.
All right, Philippa, there are going to be people watching the show right now, and I hope they're going to pick up the phone, 0207 862 2222, and they're going to be thinking, oh, give over. They'll be thinking, I've been drinking my entire life. The actual fulcrum of my social life has always been the pub. You know, we celebrate with drinks. We love a drink. And over the years, we've taken to drinking wine at home over dinner or beer or whatever it is. This woman, this doctor cannot be serious. And then they'll be thinking, I'm 70, I'm 80, I'm 90, I'm in tremendous fettle, I'm in great health. It hasn't done me any harm. I know they're going to be thinking that. What would you say to those people?
So I'm not trying to be the summertime Scrooge. I'm just trying to give you information so that you can choose. And yes, I have patients, the occasional patient who is in their 90s or even past 100, who says, I'm smoking and it's never done me any damage. But that is a study of one person. And we don't go for studies where n equals 1. We go for studies where we're talking about tens of thousands of people. And the research is really, really clear. Alcohol has been sort of classified as a carcinogen since the 1980s. We know this information. Does that mean that you have to listen to me? No. But my advice would be that even if you aren't going to stop entirely, that you think about how to reduce your alcohol. And that doesn't mean that you don't get to go to the pub, and it doesn't mean that you don't get to meet your friends. We just need to do it with something else in our hand.
Dr. Philippa, thank you for joining us today. Highly appreciated. She's very busy. She's right in the middle of a busy surgery. Thank you very much for making time. I need to know what effect all this information has had on you, Cheryl, because obviously, you know, you're performing live. You probably have a drink before and a few drinks after, or
never
don't you?
before.
Not before?
Never before.
No.
I wouldn't drink before.
But after?
But always after.
Yeah.
Always after. So, yeah, that's given me food for thought. I should... I know I need to cut down. I know I do. And my daughter, Natalie, is always saying, Mum, do you really want that? And I go, well, yes, I do. But
just
actually,
tell me, when you've had it, when you're having it, how does it make you feel? I mean, you do want it. Why do you want it so badly?
It's habit,
right,
Vanessa. It's habit. If I had a glass of water, it would be the same.
Right.
So that's what I need to do, because I know I need to cut down. Yeah, that's it.
Changing the framework of your habits, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But Sarah Jane, rather smug in the middle of the sandwich on the sofa, who has not had an alcoholic drink for 8 years. Talk about the difference before and after, because you said before you really did enjoy knocking it back.
Yeah, but I used to use it for, you know, there were times when I would use it to celebrate, but then I'd be commiserating with it and it would be Dutch courage. And so there were ways that I was using it that I think weren't healthy in the end, because I thought it was giving me confidence, but actually it was stripping away my confidence. And so
a crutch.
Exactly, it was a crutch. And so as time went on, and I think if you are trying to test out sobriety, you've got to do it for more than like a week, because after about 2 or 3 weeks, that's when your mental health starts to become stronger, you become more confident. And so I did feel like I always needed it to have a right laugh, to have stories to tell after a night out. But sometimes now if I go out with friends and you start that kind of, you know, you have that kind of heady laughter and everything, I don't actually, it wasn't the alcohol. It was just leaning into like the jokes and the banter. But when you're drinking at the time, you believe it's that, but actually maybe you're conflating having a good time with the drink.
Have you felt over the last 8 years you've missed out, you've lost anything, you've been in a sort of little compartment all of your own while everyone else is just really rocking on and you're just sort of watching, and also you're always the person that has to drive home, that kind of thing?
You know what, I'm not a designated driver, but I think I have felt like that, but I think more so because I had children straight after I then became sober, so my life's been like these young people, do you know what I mean? And at one point it was 2 under 2, so my life completely changed anyway at the same time as going sober. Now I'm starting to get, not my life back, it's just a different type of life, which is amazing, you know, having a family, but it's just different. And so there are times when I felt like it would be easy to just take that drink, because it's almost like a shortcut to the jokes. And, you know, when you were talking about, you were asking, how does it make you feel? I used to feel like it would hit my bloodstream and instantly you'd relax and you just get that feeling. Like now I can imagine it, but I just think then playing it forward kind of like half an hour later, and things just become a bit tragic.
Nick, what about you? I don't know what role alcohol, if any, had played in your life.
It doesn't really play a role.
Not
I mean,
much.
I literally don't drink because, I mean, apparently it kills brain cells. Every glass you have kills your brain cells, and I like to hang on to all
Now, the one thing the doctor didn't say, she didn't say that, but I didn't like the sound of what she did say.
Brain shrink,
Apparently it does, so I need to hang on to mine as much as possible.
Have you felt that you've been excluded on the outside?
Not at all. No. It wasn't drinks that used to get me going. When I was socialising, I'd enjoy the company.
Yeah, right.
Amazing.
I'd enjoy the company, and that was it.
All right, well, let's move on to our next topic now, and this is it. I mean, it's a rather strange question to find myself asking on the telly, but nonetheless, is it wrong, do you think, to put your pet down yourself? MP Rupert Lowe obviously doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, because he recently revealed that he had his 17-year-old family pet Labrador shot after the dog's health deteriorated significantly and he lost the use of his back legs. Rupert said he wasn't brave enough to do it himself, but instead he asked his gamekeeper to do it. Well, we don't all have one of those just knocking about the family estate, do we? I wouldn't be able to find a gamekeeper for love nor money, but nevertheless, he asked his gamekeeper to do it so that the dog could die at home and didn't have to deal with vets, because the dog would have been upset had he been taken to the vet. The Animal Welfare Act of 2006 protects animals from unnecessary harm, but there are enough grey areas in that act to allow for pet owners to take action, as Rupert Lowe did. But I wonder what you think of that. It might be legal, but is it wrong? Or maybe you think if your animal's frightened of the vets, the very kindest way to say goodbye to a beloved family pet is to find a way to put the pet down at home. 0207 862 2222, that's the number. Do give me a ring. I'd like to know what you have to say about this. And if you've just had to put your pet down, you may want to just ring in and talk about that, because I know that the emotions involved, I mean, it's a primary, enormous bereavement. You may be feeling incredibly sad just thinking about this now. 0207 862 2222, that's the number to have a chat with me. Cheryl, I mean, it's an extraordinary story, isn't it, having the Labrador shot through the back of the head by the gamekeeper?
Yeah, I live in Kent, and it's very much a farming community, and so it wouldn't surprise me at all if the farmers did the same thing with their... And I don't know if I disagree with it or not. I couldn't do it myself, and I do live in the middle of a farm, and I have had a dog that was exactly the same as the dog you mentioned, where his back legs went, her back legs went, and she was having to drag herself along. But what I did, I made a compromise. So there's no way I could take her to the vet. She was terrified of the vet. The vet came to us and put the dog down, and she's buried in our garden.
Oh, God.
Along with her brother, actually.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, but it was so lovely, because they gave her an injection and she went to sleep, and then they give the injection that stops the heart. So there was no pain, and I was there and comforting her. So I think that was like a compromise, if you like.
That
No way I
sounds
could
like
do it
a
myself.
very good compromise,
Yeah.
doesn't it? That she wasn't upset, and she didn't have her last moments in an environment that she didn't like. She was at home and comfortable. And oh my gosh, I didn't know what you were going to say when you said you compromise. I was thinking, what on earth would the compromise be? My gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Don't forget, later on we're going to be talking about whether you'd be able to live without your mobile phone. Have you even tried? Get in touch. I'll be taking your calls on 0207 862 2222. Also on whether it's wrong to put your pet down yourself, or whether you found a really good compromise, as Cheryl did right after this break. Welcome back. We're live on 5. Cheryl, Sarah Jane and Nick are still here with me. Don't forget, later on we're going to be asking, is it all right not to wear a wedding ring? Would your friends notice if you turned up somewhere without it? Maybe you've never worn one, you don't believe they're important at all. But first of all, your calls on whether it's wrong or the kindest thing you can think of to put your pet down yourself. 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Do give us a ring. Let me ask Nick about this, because you say you've had quite a lot of experience, unfortunately, of this.
Well, I've had my last 3 dogs I've had to put down. But I think when you have a relationship with your dog, the dog almost tells you when it's ready, and you know you're going to have to do this, and you speak to the vet at the right time and make an arrangement.
Oh, here's a lovely picture of you. Which dog is that?
That's Manny. That was on Friday.
Oh,
at the end of the
lovely.
week. So, you know, at some stage with a pet, hopefully, you know, he's going to go before you. So you're going to have to make arrangements, and all you're concerned with is to minimise the animal's suffering. Now, I know with him, I couldn't take him to the vet, so I would arrange for the vet to come round to the house. And I appreciate some people can't afford it.
Yeah.
And therefore, there are charities. There are loads of charities out there who will do it for nothing. But you just don't want to do something that's going to make your dog suffer. And most people, as you say, don't have gamekeepers, they don't have guns, and you don't want to try and do something yourself at home, or I'm not even going to suggest what people do, because
No,
it's
but
horrific.
if you did have a gamekeeper and you did have a
I
gun
wouldn't-
and
I
it was all
wouldn't- no,
legal, do you think
no,
that's the right thing? No, you
no.
don't like the sound
It
that.
just-
I
Why
get
not?
why he would do it.
But why? Because I'd be left with a picture of my beautiful animal's brains blown out
No,
over the
yeah.
place. I find it upsetting even thinking about it.
He thought he was minimising suffering, because my dog's like that. Is scared to go, goes near the vet, scared, terrified. So
Yeah.
he just thought dog's not going to see it coming. But yeah, I think it does open up the floodgates to a lot of abuse if you start. Oh, look, there's
Oh, here are you with your dog. Which dog is this?
my little dog Monkey.
We need to get Monkey and Manny together.
I know.
All right, let's go straight to Joanne. Joanne's on the line in Lancashire. What do you think about this, Joanne?
I think everybody should be allowed their own choice how they want to the pet to leave. I actually do agree with the
MP?
yes, I do. My own experience of it, I had to have my horse put down. He was poorly. It was over Christmas. We'd had the vet out numerous times. And the decision came one day that we're going to have to let him go. So instead of getting the vet out again, we got somebody who's skilled in farming animals, and he came out and shot him for me. It was instant. There was no shaving of the leg. There was no putting the needle in. There was no waiting, when's he going to take his last breath. It happened, and that was it. It was done and dusted. He got taken away, and that was it. So, yes.
And Joanne, did that seem to you the most humane way of doing it, just in his own environment, in a familiar place, immediate, very, very quick, and just the best idea, the best thing to do?
Yes, 100%.
Right.
100%.
And Nick was just saying, why do we all think that Rupert Lowe told this story? Why did he talk about it? And I suspect it's because, like you, he just thought it was the kindest thing to do, the best thing to do.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Why take an animal possibly to somewhere where he's frightened anyway, in a vet, and then they have to shave their leg, then they put the needles in, then they put the fluid, whatever it is, in. Why does your animal have to put up with that, to suffer that final thing, when a gun or a bolt, it's immediate?
What
they
do you
don't
think?
know.
I mean, Nick, when Joanne explains it like
I
that-
understand what you're saying, Joanne, and obviously I thought about horses, and I understand that, and it's horses for courses, I suppose, isn't it, if you'll excuse the pun. All I can say is my own experiences have been really kind, the vets have been amazing, and it's been quite cathartic. it's actually been, you know, a really good experience for both of us. There's been no pain, no anxiety. But I know with Manny, I wouldn't. If I go anywhere near the vets, you start shaking. So you know, I've already worked out, you know, that's not going to happen for him.
Right. Let's go to Chris in Leeds. Hello, Chris. What do you think?
Good afternoon. Yes, we had our dog put down about 18 months ago. Yes. So the gamekeeper, I can understand that on a level with the bigger animals and where he's coming from. But for our pet, I'd be scared that would be open to abuse by somebody thinking they were going to save money and do it their way if they had access to a gun or whatever method. But when our dog was put down, everything had kind of given up, and the vet was due at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we spent the morning with the dog, and it was lovely, lovely, lovely. He was a lurcher, so if anybody knows lurchers, they're quite fragile. If you brush off them or whatever, they'll yelp. And I was pleasantly surprised. The vet came with his assistant. And even he shaved his leg, and the dog never ever, he just looked into the vet's eyes, happy, content, and inserted the needle, and there wasn't one yelp from the dog, which kind of shocked me, knowing the dog I'd known for 12 years. But it was such a peaceful ending, and so it was very, very positive for us, and we loved him dearly, and it's the way we would have wanted him to go.
Oh, well, I'm very glad and relieved for you that that's how it was, and thank you so much for describing it. Very emotional to have to describe it, isn't it? Because it's such an enormous loss every time. Thank you, Chris, very much indeed. Let's go to Maggie in Suffolk. Maggie, you think it's risky. You don't like the idea of the risk of it.
No, I think that you know, people don't know what they're doing. You know, just not everyone's going to have access to a gun. And personally, I think that's not a really good thing to do anyway. When you have your dog or your cat put to sleep at the vets, and I've had 2 cats put to sleep recently, a 21-year-old 3 weeks ago and his brother in December.
Oh, yeah. How are you feeling, Maggie? How are you feeling after 21 years?
Yeah, it's a real big loss. It is a loss, you know, but I know that he's with Jasper again, and I know that I gave him his best life as I could, and loved him to bits, and he's a big loss here. But he died, both of them died so quickly, in my arms, gently, in my arms, in the vets, wrapped up in their little blankets, and I was the last person they saw. And there was no pain. You know, I had many pets, and I've had to, obviously you have to have lots of them put to sleep in the end, and that you cannot compare that with shooting. You know, how can you stand and hold your pet while somebody shoots it? It's not possible. And I just don't think it's safe, and I don't think it's right.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And Sarah Jane, you know, it's an incredibly emotional moment for everyone anyway.
It's quite triggering, really. You know, my dog's 8 years old, and so it's really upsetting just hearing people's stories. But I can understand most viewpoints, to be honest. I can understand why you would want to do something that's sudden. And then I can also, you know, it's great to hear these stories about how humane and how peaceful the endings have been as well. Yeah. I just think if the conversation became quite mainstream about putting down your own pets, that would worry me. You know, opening up for abuse, and people would have their own creative ideas about what they do, and that's the worry for me. Yeah. I think probably the vets is best if you can get them to you, or you can get them to the vet.
I never even thought, until we asked, the researcher asked the question yesterday, I never even thought for a second that people would euthanize their own animals.
I didn't even know it would be legal.
But how would you do it? How would you know what to do?
Exactly. Don't give anyone any ideas, quite frankly.
That's why I think that...
I mean, I think it's the sort of thing that most people, unless they were in a rural community or unless they were deep in the countryside where they're familiar with guns and they've got a legal right to have one, and somebody who knows how to shoot them and everything else, wouldn't even consider, would they? I hope not, anyway.
I think the important thing is to say for your listeners that there are lots of charities who will come round and pay for it.
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
If anyone's watching this and thinking, oh, I'm going to do it myself to save money, you don't need to.
No, thank you for pointing that out. Right, let's take your calls on this one now. Could you imagine living without your mobile phone? Maybe you forgot it, you left it in a suitcase, or your child, this happened to me once, one of my children went to school with my phone. What a cheat. I'm still annoyed. I'm still annoyed. They're grown up, they're married with kids. I'm still annoyed. I took my phone to school and left it there overnight. I mean, I was spitting tax. I was in an absolute state over it. 0207 862 2222. That is the number. Can you live without your phone? Why are we asking this today? Well, a new study has found that today's students, will spend 25 years of their lives on their mobile phones if they don't change their habits radically. The average school, college or university student spends 5.5 hours on their phone every single day. And nearly half of them said that their sleep was disturbed because of it. So should we all be trying to give up our phones, or at least drastically cut back on the amount of time that we spend on them? Could you, would you, have you ever lived without your phone? 0207 862 2222. Let's start with you, Nick, because I'm sure you need it for work apart from everything else.
I mean, I'd love it when I don't have to use my phone. You know, one day a week I won't touch my phone.
Really?
I'll try and just not touch it, leave it. But for work, you know, I'm coming down in the car yesterday, the research is on, I'm then sent an email. So our work system, to a large extent, is on the phone. And I'd say, you know, 25 years, how much time does our generation, or did our generation, spend watching television every night? A lot, probably 3 hours a night.
Maybe, yeah.
And if you add that up over a lifetime, it might not be 25 years, but it's a significant period of time.
Except, though, when we were on the bus, we looked out the window.
Yeah.
When we, you know, we didn't have something plugged into our hands.
We talked.
We talked.
We're losing the art of conversation, aren't we? I think this generation is losing the art of conversation. And, you know, images and all those sort of things are not the right way to communicate. So a phone is a necessity now for most people, but I think I mean, there used to be for emergency. I remember when we first started with mobile phones, I said to my kids, you can have it, but it's for an emergency and that's it. And of course, we've morphed into a complete dependency, haven't we?
Yeah.
And so,
which is unhealthy.
So you've had this conversation now, just Nick, saying, yeah, but for work, I need it for work and for work. But what about, you know, scrolling or doom scrolling, as we call it? Do you never?
No.
Ever?
No.
Do you do social media?
I tweet, and I do a tweet, and it's for work.
And that's it.
That's it.
So you're not just looking at someone else's curtains, somebody else's.
God, no.
I'm looking at somebody the way someone's laid their table. And you know what I really do? I look at people. I don't know why I do this. I can't even understand what I'm doing, but I do it. When they find a chest of drawers by the roadside, and then they take it home and they strip it,
refurbish it.
They veneer it, they something, and then when it's finished, it looks like a chest of drawers. And I've watched the whole thing, and I don't know why. Is it because it's soothing to my soul? Is it because I'm emotionally barren? What the hell's going on? I used to read Shakespeare, now I'm just watching someone sanding a chest of drawers, and hours of my life are going by. And I'm someone who didn't get a mobile phone at all and wasn't online at all until the pandemic. And I used to have an £8 Nokia. And I only did it because my grandchildren, I needed to see them on FaceTime. Otherwise, and I never was online because I didn't have a husband bossing me around and my parents were dead. No one could tell me to do it. So I completely ignored the internet. And then in the pandemic, got the phone, and then that's it. I'm hooked like everybody.
That just goes to show how
addicted. So that's the danger.
It's
That's
goes
the
to
danger.
show how much of a drug
you need
a phone
to kick
is.
the addiction.
I do. Could you stand life without yours, without a mobile?
Do you know what? Whenever my phone dies, the battery dies, I have this sense of relief. And even though I definitely have an addictive personality, hence why I have to not be a drinker, and so it's not lost on me that, you know, I very easily will get into a doom scroll, and then I'm saving down, and then it's serving you up more of what you want because it's the algorithms, and then you're in this whole... there's a restaurant local to us that has a kind of no phone policy, and then they have a live music show. How amazing is that?
How lovely.
Where you know, God forbid you actually have to have a conversation with the person you're at the table with rather than both on the... It's quite sad when you see people in a social context with their phones, both of them, isn't
Cheryl,
it?
do you find that your audiences are just watching you through the phone?
I was just going to say that.
I was just thinking that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
isn't it?
to look out.
They're missing you.
What's it like when you see that, when you look out
They
to
might
see
as well
it?
be watching it on the telly because
so silly,
it's completely different when you see it live to when you're looking through a screen. It's crazy, really. But I must tell you, I was on the Dancing on Ice tour.
Yeah.
And we did Wembley Arena, which was amazing. And I put my mobile in my makeup box, and then I forgot about it. My family were in to watch and everything, and I saw the family, and we headed home, and I'm like, oh, my mobile, I've left it in the makeup box. And I had my iPad with me. So I did find my phone, and I saw it travelling up the M1. And we had a day off the next day. It was liberating not to have my phone.
You didn't think, God,
panic,
you didn't think they're going to be phoning from Hollywood, MGM, they're going to be phoning with a leading role for me. Keir Starmer's going to ask me to come immediately, urgently to number 10 to give him advice. Somebody's going to announce I've won the lottery and I haven't got my phone.
We used to have landlines, didn't we? We don't have landlines now, that's the problem.
I've still got a landline.
Have you?
Just in case.
Yeah, if your battery dies and you need...
Who are you going to phone? No one else has got a blinking landline to phone. All right, don't forget, later on I'm going to be asking, is it all right not to wear your wedding ring? Pop star Justin Bieber's wife was photographed out recently without her enormous diamond engagement ring or her wedding band on. Does that signify anything? Maybe it's much more worrying if your other half takes the ring off. I'll be taking your calls on whether you could live without your phone after this short break. Welcome back. We're live on 5. Cheryl, Sarah, Jane and Nick are all here with me. And now we want your calls on this one. Could you, do you ever live without your mobile phone? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Do give us a ring. Let me just ask you, have you ever managed? How long have you done without yours, Sarah Jane?
So normally it's by accident, like if my battery's died, or actually you were talking about the whole, your kids went to school with their phone.
Yeah.
I left when I was picking up the kids and I was so distracted, as always is the case. I think I left it on a wall and one of the parents then rescued it because I thought it was going to be a whole weekend I was going to be without it.
Yeah.
And then messaged the after school club who messaged me and I managed to get it back on the Friday night, but it would have been a whole weekend. But maybe it would have been for the best.
Maybe. But
then I start getting creative, thinking, right, how can I... Right, I've got to email this person, I'm going to text them through my laptop and all this kind of stuff.
God, I don't even know what that means. Texting through my laptop. That's agonisingly painful. Terrible. Right, let's go to Anne in Kent. Oh, Anne. Anne is 85 years old. And Anne, you'll never get a mobile phone. You don't have one? Hi, Anne. You're on the telly.
We need one. She hasn't got a phone.
I don't know how I'm talking to her without a phone, but hello.
Hello. I'm sorry. No, I've never had one.
Right, and have you felt that you've been missing out when people tell you all about social media? No?
No, not at all.
And the idea that you can do things through your phone, you can shop, you can have things delivered to your house, you can bank online, all those sorts of things?
No, of course not. I go down the shops when I want to go shopping. There's a phone in the station if I want to phone up I'm arriving. I've never felt the need to have one in all my 85 years, and I still don't have one.
And tell me how you feel about everyone else absolutely riveted and staring at the screen the whole time when you don't even have one.
Well, there's a bus which takes me whether I want to go because I don't have a car either. You're talking to a dinosaur here. But I was on the bus the other day. I was looking out of the window and I peered round me, and apart from me and the driver, who were both looking out of the window, everybody else was heads down, tapping away or looking at something on a machine. I couldn't believe it. Nobody was looking out of the window at all.
And when you have people over to your home, or when you go to theirs, or when you meet for a coffee or a meal, and people plonk the phone down at the table, but actually they have it face up so they can secretly look at it.
No, none of my friends do that. And I used to have students come to stay to see English, how she has lived and all that. And I used to tell them at meal times they were to put their phones on the sofa and they were not to take them until after the meals. And in the evening, when they came in, I would ask them what they'd been doing, how they spent the evening, and they were not to have their phone on while we had our chat. When they went upstairs to bed, they could do what they liked, but there were certain rules, and mobiles were never allowed to be used at the table at all, at any time.
Do you feel, and you've had a magnificent opportunity to observe this, do you feel as if conversation, the quality, the calibre, the energy has deteriorated as people have become more and more fixated on their phones, Anne?
Well, I find an awful lot of it. If you address them, they look absolutely terrified.
Yes,
They're going to have to actually look at you and answer you.
I mean, it would be hilarious if it weren't so worrying. Do you find it worrying, Anne?
No, I find it absolutely ridiculous. I think it's very funny.
Absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. Do feel free to get in contact. I don't know how you got in touch without a phone, though. Possibly smoke signals or a carrier pigeon or something. But whatever you're using, it's working for me. And thank you very much indeed. Let's talk to Lorna in Devon. Lorna, you've got rid of your phone.
Yes, I have.
Tell me why. What happened?
Well, because, to be quite honest, it's so much cheaper.
I've got a landline at home here, so I don't feel really. They charge a fortune.
And you,
So
you
I
don't feel
decided
that
no.
you... I mean, some people might say you've isolated yourself, you know, you've cut yourself off from everybody else and all that information that people get through the phone.
No. I can speak to anybody who wants to ring me, because they will, because they're my friends. And so that's that.
Had you ever found yourself attracted to social media? Had you ever been catching up on news or following people on Instagram or anything like that?
No.
And do you feel as if you have more time because you know you're not engaged on your phone, so you could do a beautiful tapestry like the Bayer tapestry? You could probably finish the whole thing by next week or something.
I don't think so.
What are you doing with all this extra time? What the hell do you do with it, Lorna?
Well, actually, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and we go talking to people about the Bible, so that's one of the things I like to do.
Okay, well, that does keep you very busy and also very socially involved with loads and loads of people. Thank you so much for ringing. Let's talk to Helen in Flintshire. Helen, 2 people who don't have mobile phones we've just spoken to. How about you?
I love my mobile phone. I don't understand what the issue is, to be honest. My favourite gadget in the home is the washing machine. But I don't think, oh, no, I'm using that too much. I need to hand wash more. Or the Hoover. I love my Hoover. Take my rugs out and beat them with a carpet beater. I don't get it.
Love it.
Oh, you're lovely. Do you think that it's very backward looking then to say, oh, too much phone use, too much screen time? You just think it's all a great bonus to life?
I do. And the hours that add up, it's not just doing one thing on your phone. You can do lots of things on your phone. It is a social thing, isn't it? You've mentioned the news. News is right on your fingertips. I went out with my sisters yesterday. They took me out for lunch because I'm not very well, and we sat chatting about things that we'd seen in the news or on social media. We were howling with laughter. I love it. I'm not giving up my phone.
Good for you. Don't let anyone tell you to if you don't want to, if you're thoroughly enjoying it. I mean, look, why do we spend so long on our phones, Nick? Because we like it. That's why.
I use Waze. So, you know, when I'm driving, I have Waze on all the time because it tells you the quickest route. It's essential. You can't use your sat-nav in your car because it's not interactive.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have a problem when you go to restaurants and you see families sitting there and no one's talking. They're on the phones. And it infuriates me. And I think, put your phones away, talk, interact.
On the other
connect.
hand, in the old days of yore, you know, when we were young, whenever that was, you did used to very occasionally go and stay in a sort of hotel somewhere on the English coast, and there'd be a couple eating in absolute silence. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah.
And you used to think,
You'd
oh God, I hope I don't
spoken.
turn into one of those when I grow up. But do you remember that? Yeah. And then there'd be families just sticking in the bacon and the egg in dogged, wretched silence. So people weren't always having a fabulous and fascinating conversation. They could be totally silent. Maybe the phone's better than that. Let's talk to Kathleen in Northumberland. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
What do you think?
I think exactly the same as the 2 callers. I think they interfere with conversation. I have 2 sons who are never off them. My husband occasionally uses. And I'll tell you how much I use the phone. I paid £10 for a mobile, and it's lying in the drawer. I just think that it stops the conversation completely.
So what's it like when you're trying to talk to your husband or your 2 sons who are so enraptured and so besotted with their phones?
Well, you can't talk, can you? You've got to wait until they finish doing what they're doing. But I tell my husband that I think it's very rude.
And I think you're right. It is rude, isn't it?
I say to my
absolutely, put your phone down.
Yeah. Do you say that to your?
No, I was going to say my stepdaughter, who's 12. She and she's really delightful. We get on really well. But she will be on the Snapchat. She'll be 24/7, and I'm like, Ellen, I put down the phone. Let's have a chat. Come on, and I'll like tease her, and then we have a great conversation. So I think phones are great, and there's loads of convenience and apps and various things, and I love my phone as well. But I think when it starts to become negative, and you almost feel inside, don't you, when you've been on it too long, you get a headache, and it's distracting, or you're kind of comparing yourself to someone else. There's all these negatives that come with it. When you feel like that, I think it's about having phone-free zones in your life, like you do. You have one day a week, did you say?
Yeah, but I also balance use. I try not to use it. My son's at school. He's away at school. They're allowed the phone 20 minutes a day.
Yes,
That's
more
it.
than
He's
enough.
14,
So
and
it's
it's
that,
fine. And
yeah.
that's to speak, ideally, to speak to your
But what about that
parents, if you're
marvellous
lucky.
lesson in humility that you get when you have forgotten your phone or left it at home or whatever it is, and all day you're just thinking, oh, God, I've missed all this great stuff. Oh, Lord, I've been
feel
out of
relieved
leave.
a bit.
And then you go home and there's your phone, you pounce on it, your heart's thumping, and absolutely no one has rung you. Nothing's happened. No one cared. No one noticed. No one noticed. And you're like, oh, my God, I built this up and look at me, and then you feel absolutely terrible.
Or you've got messages and you think, oh, God, I'm out of time now, I'm too late
Yeah,
to
it's
respond.
stressful, yeah.
That's even worse, isn't it? Because it's a missed
I think
opportunity.
even worse is no one cared less and no one messaged you at all. But I'm not saying whether that's ever happened to me or not, or anything like that. Let's move straight to our next topic now. Is it all right, obviously, if you're married, not to wear your wedding ring? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Do give us a ring about this one. Pop star Justin Bieber's wife, Hailey, was photographed out this weekend without her engagement or wedding rings on. And she did make sure that her hand was, you know, photographed. She made sure she was kind of walking around like that the whole time. There have been rumours swirling about for a while that all's not well between the megastars who had their first son Jack last year. But is an outing without your wedding ring a sure sign that trouble's brewing? Or maybe she just forgot to wear her $1 million 18-carat diamond. May the Lord smite me with one of those. I wouldn't mind one of those. Wow. An understated little number like that, a $1 million diamond. Fantastic. Do you, I mean, you obviously wear yours as your other half?
I never take them off. I don't think about it. I shower, I bath, I swim, whatever. Everything I wash up. With my rings on, so I don't think about it. But
how long have you been married now?
Oh, 1992, 32 years.
And is it true that it took you 12 years to realise you fancied him?
Yes, it's true. 12 years.
What gave you the epiphany?
I don't know, because I like tall, dark, handsome men, and he's short and blonde. Actually, he's short and bald now, but no, it did take 12 years. I met him in 1975.
And he was in Cliff Richard's band.
Yeah, he was in Cliff Richard's band and Bucks Fizz. Obviously, his favourite was Bucks Fizz. And it was in 1987 we were doing a TV show that I presented called The Funny Side, and I sang a song on each of the shows, and Steve was in my band. And he was it was that moment when you go, why haven't I seen that I really fancy you? You know, all these years I've known you.
12 years.
And I rang him and I told him.
And what did he say?
He said, oh, but you're my mate. He said, we can't go down there.
What did you say?
Come on.
He was delighted.
Luckily, we know the punchline of this.
I persevered.
You've been married for 32 years, so you must have been
brilliant.
very seductive. All right, don't go anywhere at all, because I'm going to be taking your calls on whether it's all right not to wear your wedding ring. That's after this break. Welcome back. I'm live on 5 with Cheryl, Sarah, Jane and Nick. We're all here and we want your calls on this one. Is it all right not to wear a wedding ring? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Do give us a ring. We've just heard about Cheryl taking 12 years to realise that she fancied her husband. And they've been happily married now for, what, 32 years?
He's 33. I got it wrong.
Does he wear a wedding ring?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And what would you think if he suddenly took it off?
He used to wear his mum's wedding ring. If he took it off, I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care?
No.
You wouldn't think this is a bit
I don't think he'd care
suspicious?
if I did.
No?
I think it's up to the individual. But I think that, what's her name? Hailey.
Yeah.
I think she did it because she wanted, like you say, she was doing this. I think she did it because she wanted the publicity and to say to him, up yours.
Yes.
Sending a message, isn't
Well,
it?
he's going through a lot, isn't he?
She's sending a message. It's all about context, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in this particular scenario, she's basically saying, listen, I'm showing everyone there's a problem. You're showing everyone on your whatever platforms you're using, there's a problem. This is my way of communicating the problem.
I'm trying to look to see whether you're wearing one or not.
No, I'm not married.
You're not married at
I'm
this
not
point.
married.
You have been a few times.
I have been a couple of times.
What have you done with those rings?
I have been. I'm in a proper relationship. My partner has a ring. I would be devastated if she took it off. Right. It's all about connection, but I don't wear a ring, and I think it's just as you say, it's subjective, isn't it? It's about how you are together.
Sarah Jane, have you ever found yourself at the receiving end of attentions from a man, and when you look at his hand to check, you see he's not wearing it, but there's a sort of little tan line either side of a... Have you ever had that? Someone pretend they're not married when they are really?
I think it's a nice way of warding people off. Is like kind of showing them.
But isn't it? It's a magnet to some women who don't want commitment. They just want a good time.
What, seeing a man with a wedding ring on
They
his
want
hand?
a married man, so they know there's no commitment here. I just want to have fun.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you know?
I've read it anecdotally.
Shocking women with no morals. Like, oh my gosh. Let's go to Louise on the line in Devon. What do you think, Louise?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I think it's a commitment.
So it shows the commitment, you mean?
It shows the commitment, yeah. You marry somebody and you love them, supposedly, for the rest of your life. And it's important to wear that ring to say, I'm connected. I mean, unfortunately, my husband has passed away.
I'm sorry.
However, I do look, if I'm out or dating, because obviously I'm on the dating scene at my age. I'm not too old. But I do look. If somebody's got a ring on, it's a no-go, Jose.
I don't know if no-go and Jose rhyme, but I love saying it. I'm going to start saying it's no-go, Jose, because I think, why not, right? If Louise and Devon can say it, I can definitely say it. Louise, thank you very much indeed. So Louise is not one of these ladies who are no better than they should be, Nick, who seem to seek out married men with wedding rings and want to get it on with them. That's very disgraceful behaviour. I don't know where you're mixing and where you're hanging out.
We can't sit in judgment. There are...
we can sit in judgment.
You must acknowledge there are certain ladies out there who are married, maybe they're not getting everything they need from the marriage, and they want a non-committed relationship with a guy.
And you read it anecdotally again.
And I read it. No, they do. Come on,
they're no better
obvious.
than they should be. That's what my grandma would have said.
I actually discussed this with the taxi driver on the way.
What did he say?
He agreed with me. He agreed.
Well, that you're like magnet, like catnip to certain kinds of women.
A ring can actually say, listen, you're perfectly safe with me. I'm married. Takes two to tango. And if the guy wants to tango and you know I'm married, we're safe. We're just having fun.
But now we're all grown up, so we know we're not talking about tangoing. It's not just tangoing.
Some people don't want to wear wedding and engagement rings just for fashion reasons, though. Like some people might just take them on and off.
I think nowadays,
depending on styling as well.
Nowadays, I would say that. Yeah, I think.
Or security.
I think.
I mean, hers is $500,000, isn't it? Or
a million.
If it's that many carats, it's more, isn't it?
Wow.
Gosh, all these women who want to tango with married men. It's absolutely shocking. Let's go. I'm horrified. I really am horrified. I think that's a horrible thing to do.
I'd love to be able to tango.
I'm sitting in judgment. I think it's nasty and the wrong thing to do. And also it doesn't show any kind of sisterly solidarity with other women if you do that, does it?
No, I agree with you.
For them.
What do you mean it works for them?
Well,
That's
because
horrid.
they're getting their needs met and they're not getting them met
needs?
at the moment. Their physical needs.
Well, they should jolly well control themselves or find a man who's not attached. You don't just go and have your physical needs met by somebody else's husband. That's horrible. That's horrible behaviour, which I do not condone, and that's it. Stop it.
I don't condone it. No, I don't
do it then. It's horrible. Let's go to June in Leicestershire. She'll definitely elevate the tone of this discussion. June, thank you so much for ringing. What do you think about people who remove their wedding rings?
I only think the reason you should remove your wedding ring if of you divorced, deceased. You shouldn't remove it if you're still married because it's a commitment. And you've made that commitment by choice, not by force.
Yeah.
And if you love your husband, you should leave it on.
Yes. So this Hailey Bieber going out this weekend without the ring, she's signalling something to the universe, really, isn't she?
Of course, if you take your ring off and go out, it's looking like you're single. I don't agree with it.
No, neither do I. Thank you, June. Let's go to Doreen in Tyneham Weir. Hi, Doreen. What do you think?
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
You should wear your wedding ring, and if you take your wedding ring off, you're looking for another partner. So I've been married 55 years. My husband died 5 years ago, and I still wear my wedding ring. Yes, you should wear your wedding ring, yes.
And Doreen, just explain, because, you know, you're a widow now. I'm very, very sorry to hear this, and I'm sure you miss your husband desperately. You keep the ring on because you remain his wife, his bride, for the rest of your life, right?
That's correct, Vanessa.
Yes, and that's exactly how my grandma was, exactly the same. Always had wedding rings, engagement rings, always on, because she remained married to him. The fact that he'd passed away didn't lessen in any way the bond or indeed actually the loyalty and the fidelity. She wasn't interested in ever meeting anybody else. That was her love and that was her true love and that was it. Is that how you feel, Doreen?
Yes. The night I met him, I loved him. I fell in love the night I met him. He came looking for me in Newcastle the next day. We got together and been together ever since.
Wow.
Love.
How did he find you, Doreen? Because Newcastle's a big place. How did he find out where you were?
Well, just looked and looked and looked. But he
found me. Like a film, isn't it? Like an amazing film. And you just walked through the streets of Newcastle calling Doreen, Doreen, and eventually you just appeared. Is that what happened?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Wow.
First night.
Wow, what was he like, Doreen? What kind of a gentleman was he?
Beautiful. Tall. Hard working, works in the Delta Steel Works, gave all his wages to his mum. Absolute sweetheart. Lovely, beautiful person inside and out.
Gosh,
These beautiful children, love children, that's what I call them, love children.
Sweet. Gosh, what a wonderful... I'm so glad you phoned, Doreen. Would you like to say what his name was?
Alfred Hawthorne.
How lovely to pay tribute to him today on the show. I'm really honoured to have you call. And as far as I'm concerned, that's true love, isn't it? That's real love.
Yeah.
And all the words that she chooses now to describe him, beautiful, lovely, just a wonderful man that she just adored. He just went to Newcastle and found her. It's magic, isn't it? It's destiny. It's
lovely.
Incredible, right? Absolutely wonderful, these horrible women that are targeting married men. They're baddies.
They are.
No, but I think that if you do take your ring off, it isn't an issue, is it? Like, I don't think you're necessarily looking for...
It can be, and it depends on the context, doesn't it? It depends
Some
why.
people may not...
She's taken hers off to convey a message.
We don't know that, though, do we?
I think it's
a
a reasonable assumption.
We just think that because, obviously, he's going through what he's going through.
She had them off. She's put them back. She's put it back on now.
Has she?
As I understand it.
You've got a live feed through to me.
I just feel like it should be around your neck.
She's put the ring back on.
Like it's a dog.
She's actually put it back on.
But she is somebody who's quite fashion forward, so there is an argument to say that she could have actually just been thinking, this doesn't actually go with what I'm wearing.
But I think in the context of what he was doing to her, and then the removal of a ring.
Well, he's having a meltdown, isn't he?
He's got mental health issues.
Or was he just having a mental breakdown?
He was showing videos of slamming the door.
Excuse me, this is Nick Freeman who never looks at his phone and doesn't have any idea what's going on social media. A big expert on Justin Bieber. I wouldn't have thought you were the target market. You know everything about it, absolutely everything. Anyway, it's been lovely having you. It's been great. So will you make your mind up to come back? That's
I'd love to come back.
She would love to come back, and she could keep her trousers on the whole time. There's no whipping off the skirts or anything of that kind. It's been lovely having you here. Thank you so much. And people can find you all over the country just performing away.
Yeah, just
say Altrincham.
Yeah, when's your next
Altrincham is on the 5th of July.
That's where we're from.
Oh, come.
Yeah, we're on the...
It's Britfest. It's lots of British artists.
Definite Northern Mafia going on here. I don't know how that happened. Thank you so much to the wonderful Cheryl Baker, to Sarah Jane and to Nick, and thank you for all your calls. Rob Rinder will be here at 9:15 tomorrow morning. I'll be back at the same time in the same place on the pink sofa. Until then, have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Bye.